Welcome to this deep dive into the week's key spy stories and security intelligence updates. Usually when we think about global conflict, it's a pretty clear line in the sand.
Right, like a vintage war movie or something.
Exactly. One army on this side, one on the other. But if you look at the geopolitical map right now, that line is just entirely gone. We are basically looking at a completely gray landscape where global adversaries are rewriting the rules of engagement without actually firing a single open shot.
Yeah, it's all about hybrid warfare now. I mean, we are seeing nations like Russia and China really lean into this ambiguity. They use, incremental rule breaking to just constantly test Western boundaries.
Like poking the bear, but in reverse.
Exactly. It's meticulously engineered to stay just below the threshold of an outright war. It's highly manipulative, frankly.
So looking at the numbers from the intelligence updates this week, it is just staggering. 144 drone incidents across NATO territory.
It's a huge spike.
Yeah, we're talking the UK, France, Germany, Belgium, the Netherlands. And they are loitering over highly sensitive areas like RAF Lakenheath and nuclear storage sites.
Right, and the really sneaky part is where they come from. They are likely being launched from these commercial-looking ships.
Ah, the Shadow Fleet.
Exactly, the so-called Shadow Fleet just floating right out there in European waters. Using maritime launch points gives them this vital denial buffer.
Because it blurs the line, right, between state-sponsored espionage and just, a random commercial vessel going off course.
Precisely. It gives them plausible deniability.
But wait, if they aren't dropping explosives, flying 144 drones seems like a massive waste of resources. And, a huge risk of sparking a conflict.
Well, you'd think so, yeah.
If there's no immediate kinetic strike, like actually dropping bombs or firing missiles, what is the return on investment for them doing this?
They are mapping NATO radar gaps. By flying these exact routes, they calculate response times.
Oh, wow. So they're seeing exactly how fast we react.
Exactly. They want to map out the escalation thresholds across the entire Allied air defense network.
So it's essentially like a burglar repeatedly walking past your house at night just to see exactly how long it takes for your motion sensor lights to turn on.
That is a perfect analogy, yes. And to build the drones that do that mapping, they need advanced equipment. Which brings us to this massive sanctions leakage ecosystem we're tracking.
Right, because despite all the corporate withdrawals by the West, critical manufacturing inputs just keep flowing into Russian defense plants.
They do. The industrial smuggling is relentless.
You're talking about the German-made precision tooling, right?
Yes, specifically from companies like Goering.
So how does that actually happen, practically speaking? If a country is that heavily sanctioned, how do they keep getting their hands on cutting-edge missile-building equipment?
Well, it comes down to dual-use items. This is machinery that can be used for normal civilian manufacturing or,
Right.
Military weapons. So they set up a front company in a third non-sanctioned country. That company buys the tools ostensibly for a legitimate local business.
But it's just a cover.
Completely.
Huh.
Once the shipment arrives there, it quietly gets rerouted across the border into Russia. It's this whole underhanded shadow supply chain.
So they have this heavy reliance on shadowy, coercive tactics externally. But looking at the reports from Moscow, that strategy perfectly mirrors their internal domestic policy right now, too.
Oh, absolutely. It's an entire doctrine based on exhaustion and, quite frankly, paranoia.
Yeah, we're seeing that play out with the FSB working in overdrive lately.
They really are.
They recently detained a Central Asian national in Stavropol over alleged rail sabotage. And they're just handing out incredibly long sentences to crush domestic dissent.
Right, and rooting out these supposed Ukrainian plots, it's an environment of profound paranoia and internal control.
Which makes me wonder, is that strategy of exhaustion unique to Russia's current situation? Or are we seeing this doctrine applied elsewhere?
We are absolutely seeing a parallel adopter in the Indo-Pacific. China is perfecting this exact blueprint of exhaustion and coercion right now.
Yeah, the intelligence updates on China's gray zone tactics are escalating so fast.
That's alarming.
30 aircraft sorties in just 24 hours. They are heavily crossing the median line into Taiwan's air defense area.
And it doesn't stop in the air.
Right. Their Coast Guard is aggressively enforcing these totally illegitimate jurisdictional claims in the South China Sea and Scarborough Shoal.
It's highly calibrated bullying, honestly. By constantly buzzing airspace and encroaching on maritime borders with Coast Guard ships instead of heavily armed Navy destroyers, Beijing is attempting to normalize it.
They just want it to be business as usual.
Exactly. They erode their neighbor's sovereignty 1 inch at a time, which makes it incredibly difficult for other nations to justify a strict military response.
But the friction is really building. I mean,
hmm
Taiwan has explicitly instructed its commercial vessels to completely ignore Chinese boarding requests in these contested waters.
Which is a bold move, but a necessary one.
But if everyone is playing a high-stakes game of chicken at sea, aren't we just one misunderstood radio call or one bumped ship away from this gray zone turning red hot?
That is the ultimate danger of weaponizing ambiguity. When threats are this diffused, hiding behind civilian ships or third-party supply chains, traditional deterrence really struggles to keep up.
Because the lines are so blurred.
Right. The risk of accidental escalation is just astronomical right now.
Which leaves you with this to ponder as we wrap up this deep dive. If launching surveillance drones from shadow fleets and aggressively bullying civilian ships are the new normal, how long until our traditional definitions of an act of war become completely obsolete? Because eventually, that burglar is going to finish mapping the security lights, and someone has to decide when it's time to finally lock the door. Or, what happens if an automated defense system misinterprets one of those shadow fleet movements and retaliates before a human even realizes what's happening?